Oh, dude, was that a combo move? Yeah, dude. Oh, dude, here come the cops. We gotta lie to them. Hit X to lie. Wow, I didn't know golf games were this cool. Yeah, dude, EA Sports outdid themselves this time.
South Park's greatest strength is in its mastery at delivering sharp satirical analysis on contemporary media and entertainment. It's kind of what it's known for. Creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker have spoofed unnecessary sequels, mocked chart-topping music artists, and even dipped their toes into lampooning the pretentious highbrow literary world. With both Matt and Trey being huge gamers, they've let their knowledge and reverence for the current video game industry slip into the shell on many occasions. One of the things I love is that they prefer to reference actual councils and popular franchises, instead of using a fictionalized product meant to depict a real system or game. So for this list, I'm presenting my 5 favorite times South Park used real-life gaming as a plot point. Screw you guys, I'm going to the list. So with this one I may be cheating because it's a two-parter, but I'll just treat them as one. The video game component that moves this episode forward is the Nintendo Wii, Cartman's most wanted treasure and the reason why he freezes himself to advance time and get his hands on those sleek motion controls. I was actually around the same age as Cartman myself when the Wii came out, so I completely understood his need for those 3 weeks to pass by quickly. I think the episodes themselves are decent. They're not my favorite from that season at all because season 10 was absolutely stacked. But there are things I do enjoy. I still get a laugh at the feuding otters and Cartman's exhaustion at people in the future not knowing what exactly the Wii is, but some aspects do fall flat for me. I really didn't care much for the Miss Garrison and Richard Dawkins B-plot except for one hilarious and disturbing nude reveal. And I'm not sure there was enough story in the concept to justify it being a dual episode entry. All in all, they're fine episodes, but not the best of the best. Okay, so this is the moment in the video where I may get crucified by the fans. When making this list, I realized how much of my enjoyment of these episodes, when it comes primarily to how they portray gaming culture, was affected by my own video game playing tendencies. And I've never been an MMORPG guy. But in general, this one is a classic for a reason. Every gag works. Who can forget the Sword of a Thousand Truths? Who can forget...
How do you kill that which has no life?
How can you forget that kick-ass Paul Stanley song during the training montage? Another reason this is a series-defining episode is because it's one of the first times Randy would take center stage, and essentially have the conclusion of the plot revolve around him and his actions. So I guess you could say Make Love Not Warcraft planted the seeds of Tegrity Farms Randy, but let's not open that can of worms. So in conclusion, one of the series' great episodes, and a fantastic use of MMORPG fandom and culture. When I was a kid, the PlayStation Portable was king. I know for a lot of you it was the Nintendo DS, and I get that, but I was a PlayStation kid at heart, so my Sunday mornings were spent thumbing through the Best Buy and Walmart ads, looking at PSP bundles I'd never be able to buy because I didn't have any damn money. That's why Best Friends Forever had to make its way on my list, because I completely identified with the jealousy of the boys when Kenny gets his PSP, and Cartman's attempts to weasel his way into Kenny's will. The plot of this episode mirrors 1984's The Last Starfighter, a film where a teenager gets way too good at a video game cabinet that was actually designed to be a training device, and then gets the opportunity to fight in an intergalactic battle because he was just so good at video. Replace a video game cabinet with PSP, an intergalactic battle with a divine battle, and you've got this episode. I was far too young at the time for the Terry Schiavo reference to mean anything to me on the first watch, so the satirical aspects weren't what I was interested in back then. The most I knew about Terry Schiavo at the time was from the Family Guy song,
Terry Schiavo is kind of alive-o.
But I'm sure Matt and Trey handled the topic with a little bit more nuance. I love the bit at the end where Kenny's will is finally revealed, and he makes it clear and certain he would not have wanted his body to be seen in the condition it was in. Stan's reaction is priceless.
Ooh.
I think you can guess how fantastic of an episode the final entry of this list is if I'm putting Guitar Hero as number 2, since it's so iconic and so reliant on the Guitar Hero series to provide the humor. This is an amazing episode and a wonderful use of a massively popular franchise to guide the plot. I would say this is in my top 10 episodes of South Park of all time. Guitar Hero makes its way to South Park, and the boys are honing their skills to make it as the best shredders in town. Randy, of course, mistakes this for an interest in actual musicianship and shows them his Gibson Les Paul, much to the mocking of the boys for playing his old people music. Eventually, Stan and Kyle each have the opportunity to get signed to a major label, much to Randy's annoyance. This leads to one of my favorite Stan arcs, where he experiences the major highs and pathetic degeneracies of rock stardom. One of my favorite sight gags of the show is the shot of Randy in his underwear playing Heroin Hero, trying to catch that little dragon. The, nowadays problematic celebration the game gives you when you finally get your high score. Sorry, I still find it funny. That running joke with the clacking of the controller frets, that makes me laugh harder now than it did before. Now I'm just trying to figure out what must have annoyed my parents more, Guitar Hero's playlist, or how damn noisy those controllers could be when you were really in the zone. Spectacular episode. For me, the Black Friday trilogy is the best representation of gaming culture in South Park history. I also think it's the last truly great batch of episodes before the show shifted into a much different era. This trilogy was released at the end of 2013, just 5 years before the first Tegrity Farms installment, and I feel there is a clear difference in quality between what happened before and after Tegrity Farms. But everything about these 3 episodes is iconic. The costumes that mirror the ones worn in the Return of the Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers, the pitch-perfect Game of Thrones parody that took us from the incoming Black Friday patrons portrayed as White Walkers to the Garden of Deception. Princess Kenny? Do I have to say any more? And it all just makes sense. Myself coming from a small town, I can understand the importance of wanting your friends to all decide on one council to encourage LAN playing. That's absolutely something kids would fight and go to war over if they had the opportunity. One of my favorite moments is the boys at the end of the battle with Bill Gates and the Sony CEO, walking through the Black Friday carnage in the South Park Mall, nonchalantly stepping over blood and guts. And that joke of warning you not to pre-order games is undeniably true. But despite that warning, Matt and Trey kept their promise to the gamers, and 3 months after this episode aired, we finally got the stick of truth. Not only do I think that's the greatest licensed game ever made, I think it's one of the greatest things the duo have ever created. Flawless all around and a defining South Park. So those are my 5 personal favorite South Park gaming related episodes. I hope you liked it and that I didn't leave yours off the list. Sound off in the comments below if I did and tell me what you would have replaced my entries with. Thanks for watching.